But one of the most incredible things about Karahan Tepe is that it is at most 5% excavated.
This incredible feat of architecture is not the most revolutionary thing about this place.
Archaeologists were stunned after uncovering what may be the oldest star map in human history, carved over 11,000 years ago.
Because we'd never before known or imagined even that simple hunter-gatherers could produce such spectacular monumental structures.
But as researchers began decoding the ancient sky patterns, they found symbols that don't match any known constellation, past or present.
And then if we look at them, they're covered in these engravings. So this is a fox, there's vultures here, there's bear, there's wild boar.
One figure appears to trace the path of something that shouldn't have been visible at all. What they believe it shows will leave you speechless. The star map that predates civilization. It started with a slab no one expected. In late 2024, during excavation work at Karahan Tepe, a Neolithic site in southeastern Turkey, archaeologists uncovered a rectangular stone roughly the size of a small table. But what shocked the team wasn't its age, it was the precision of what was carved into it. Etched onto the surface were patterns that mirrored constellations still visible in our skies today: Cygnus, Orion's belt, and what appeared to be the Pleiades star cluster. Radiocarbon dating placed the artifact at 11,500 years old, over 6,000 years before the earliest known Babylonian star charts. This single find could be the oldest map of the night sky ever discovered. Even more stunning was the orientation of the stone. Researchers aligned it with the horizon and noticed that the carvings matched how the sky would have looked at that exact latitude during the Younger Dryas period, a time of abrupt climate upheaval around 10,500 BCE. That's thousands of years before the pyramids, the invention of writing, or even the wheel. Which raises the obvious question: how did these early humans know how to do this? Dr. Martin Sweatman from the University of Edinburgh, who previously proposed astronomical interpretations of Göbekli Tepe, just 35 kilometers away, believes the Karahan Tepe find cements the idea that these sites served cosmic purposes. They weren't just places of worship, he said. They were calendars, observatories, warnings. What kind of warnings? Some researchers propose the star chart may include recordings of cometary activity, specifically linking it to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a theory suggesting a fragmented comet struck the Earth and triggered sudden cooling. If that's true, then this map may not just be ancient, it might be the first disaster record in human history. And that's what makes this all so uncomfortable. If this map is real, and it holds celestial knowledge we thought was impossible for its time, then either we've underestimated early humans, or something else was guiding them. The obsidian lenses and the impossible tools. Beside the star map, buried within the same layer of sediment, archaeologists found something even harder to explain. Fragments of obsidian, so finely polished they resembled crude lenses. These weren't decorative beads or arrowheads. They were shaped into convex forms, similar to early optical magnifiers. The edges had been ground smooth. Some even had a slight curvature capable of basic light magnification. Experts from Istanbul University analyzed them using laser profilometry and found that their polish matched that of medieval lenses, created using methods thought to be thousands of years away from Neolithic capability. These weren't random stones, they were crafted with precision. So now the question becomes more urgent. Were ancient people observing the sky with optical tools? Galileo Galilei didn't build his telescope until 1609. And yet, what if, just what if, these prehistoric humans had developed primitive viewing instruments to track the stars, planets, or even passing comets? This theory doesn't stand alone. In 2021, researchers found similar lens-like obsidian artifacts in Armenia and Ethiopia, though they were dismissed as ritualistic objects. But the find at Karahan Tepe, so close to the world's earliest stone architecture and now the oldest star map, makes it harder to ignore. Some researchers now believe that early astronomy didn't come after civilization, it birthed it. The argument is simple. Tracking stars required math, planning, communication, and long-term memory. In order to pass that knowledge down, they needed symbols. Perhaps the first efforts at writing weren't for poetry or trade, but for the sky. And maybe they weren't doing it alone. A fringe theory, gaining traction in alternative history circles, suggests that knowledge of optics and the sky came from external influence. Ancient alien theorists point to the rapid leap in tool sophistication between 11,000 and 9,000 BCE. Others argue that intergenerational observational memory, passed via oral traditions, could explain it, if they were patient enough to track the same stars over hundreds of years. Sky maps in other unexpected places. Just when scholars thought the Karahan-Tepe star map was an isolated anomaly, something unexpected happened. Researchers around the world began looking again at ancient carvings, etchings, and geoglyphs they had previously written off as symbolic or decorative. What they discovered was nothing short of astonishing. Similar star alignments, geometric consistency, and even shared patterns were popping up across continents. In Peru, the famous Nazca lines have long sparked debate. While traditionally interpreted as ritualistic or religious pathways, a 2023 reanalysis using satellite imaging and AI-enhanced pattern recognition found that several of the long straight lines and shapes align with key constellations, including Orion, Ursa Major, and even the Southern Cross, at specific points in the sky dating back over 2,000 years. But more curiously, some of those alignments only make sense when backtracked thousands of years earlier, toward the end of the Younger Dryas period, the same era as the Karahan-Tepe map. In Scotland, the Cairnholy chambered tombs feature circular stone arrangements that, when reanalyzed in 2022 by the Archaeoastronomy team at University of Glasgow, were found to align with the solstices and major lunar standstills. But again, some of the stone etchings at these sites resemble the same star configurations found in Turkey and Central America. How is that possible? Now researchers are connecting the dots, literally. A 2025 study by Dr. Katarina Kovac at the University of Ljubljana found that many Neolithic carvings and petroglyphs from Australia to the Balkans contain clusters of dots in formations that resemble known asterisms, often in 3s, 7s, or long linear chains that match the apparent motion of planets or comets over time. Some of the most compelling finds come from Nabta Playa in southern Egypt. Dating to around 6000 BCE, the site consists of a circular stone calendar and monoliths that align with Sirius and Orion. And yet, the carvings discovered in the mid-2000s, which were thought to be animals or tally marks, may actually be early celestial maps, according to a 2024 reevaluation by the Egyptian Center for Astronomical Heritage. This global web of star-aligned sites, none seemingly connected by trade or language, has led some scientists to ask, could there have been a universal sky template, passed down, shared, or independently discovered across the ancient world? Or were all these cultures simply reacting to the same celestial events, a comet, a meteor shower, or an anomaly bright enough to be etched into memory? Even more wild, what if these star maps weren't symbolic, but directional? Some believe these were navigational aids for early travelers, even intercontinental ones. This map shouldn't exist, unless they were watching something else. Perhaps the most unsettling detail from the Karahan-Tepe slab isn't what archaeologists can identify, but what they can't. Among the recognizable constellations are several symbols that defy stellar correlation. One appears as a long elliptical shape cutting diagonally through known constellations. Another shows a zigzag path ending in a spiral, something never seen in traditional sky maps. When fed into software that predicts ancient sky models, these symbols don't align with stars at all. That's when things got weird. Astrophysicist Paul Burley, known for his controversial work on the Nebra sky disk, proposed a theory in early 2025. These unexplained symbols represent moving celestial objects, possibly comets, asteroids, or even interstellar visitors. One of the elliptical shapes bears a striking resemblance to the trajectory of Oumuamua, the cigar-shaped object that entered our solar system in 2017 and was never seen again. What if early humans saw something similar and carved it into stone? Burley points out that the spiral shape, which appears in multiple unrelated cultures from the American Southwest to Papua New Guinea, may represent something arriving and then vanishing from the sky. A supernova, a fast-moving comet, or something even stranger? Another detail adds to the mystery. In infrared scans of the Karahan-Tepe slab, a faint symbol became visible beneath the top layer, resembling a three-lobed object with trailing arcs. To the naked eye, it looks like a stylized comet. But to UFO enthusiasts and alternative theorists, it evokes descriptions of triangular craft or even binary-coded messages from non-human intelligences. Mainstream science rejects these interpretations, but cannot explain the anomalous shapes. No known constellation, modern or ancient, matches them. Some even speculate they were charting a sky event we've forgotten, a rogue planet, A cluster of meteor impacts? A satellite crash from a previous lost civilization? One theory, echoed by authors like Graham Hancock, suggests that these maps may encode memory of a catastrophe, a way for survivors of a prior global cataclysm to warn future generations. If true, then the star map is not just a record, it's a message. The acoustic code. Did sound play a role in mapping the sky? While most eyes were on the etched star patterns and strange geometric alignments at Karahan Tepe, a different kind of researcher made a discovery that hadn't even been on the radar: sound. In early 2025, a team of archaeoacousticians from the University of Barcelona conducted a series of sonic resonance tests at the Karahan Tepe site, inspired by similar studies at Göbekli Tepe and Malta's Hypogeum. What they found was nothing short of bizarre. Certain stone chambers and upright pillars vibrated at very specific frequencies when exposed to low-frequency sound waves, particularly between 90 and 120 Hz. Now here's where it gets fascinating. That frequency range matches the natural resonance of the human male voice, especially in a chant or hum. This suggests that these early people may have used vocal sound to interact with the space, and possibly with the stone carvings themselves. But it goes deeper. When sound was projected through these chambers, researchers observed that fine sand particles placed on the etched slab shifted into radial star-like patterns, a phenomenon known as cymatics. That means the combination of sound and stone produced visual patterns, patterns that eerily resembled the same star formations carved into the slab. Could it be that early humans were using sound not just for ritual, but as a primitive observational tool? Dr. Sofia Alvarez, who led the acoustic study, believes the builders of Karahan Tepe may have discovered that low-frequency tones could help visualize cosmic geometry, especially during night ceremonies. The idea is that rhythmic chanting or drumming could create standing waves that revealed natural patterns, ones they may have interpreted as sacred or cosmic messages. Even more provocative is a theory that these sites were built where natural infrasound was already present. The hills surrounding Karahan Tepe are known for strong wind tunnels. When the wind blows at certain speeds and angles, it produces subsonic frequencies, almost like a whisper from the Earth itself. This ambient resonance could have inspired awe or fear, and may have driven their interest in the Sky-Earth connection. And if that sounds outlandish, consider this. In 2022, NASA researchers studying lunar regolith discovered that certain fine dusts react to sound and vibration in low gravity by aligning in clusters and rings. This prompted one theorist to speculate that ancient humans may have been imitating celestial motion through vibration and resonance, essentially building analogs of the cosmos with sound and stone. Even the idea of music of the spheres, a philosophical concept attributed to Pythagoras, finds strange echoes here. The ancient belief that celestial bodies emit harmonic frequencies now seems less poetic and more possible. So now we're left with an entirely new angle. Were ancient star maps not just visual, but auditory? Could the builders of Karahan Tepe, with no formal instruments, no written math, and no metal tools, have discovered a secret link between sound, space, and the stars? If so, they weren't just charting the heavens. They were listening to them. Buried beneath the stars, are there undiscovered chambers below Karahan Tepe? As researchers pored over the surface-level marvels of Karahan Tepe, the carved star maps, obsidian lenses, and acoustic resonances, another team quietly began probing what lay beneath the site. In early 2025, a collaborative team from the Turkish Ministry of Culture and a European geophysics unit deployed ground-penetrating radar, GPR, to scan deeper layers of the bedrock beneath the primary excavation area. What they found shocked even the most seasoned archaeologists. Roughly 8 meters below the main star slab, radar imaging revealed a series of anomalous voids, symmetrical, chamber-like pockets connected by narrow passageways. Initial scans suggest the space spans nearly 25 meters, with at least 3 distinct cavities that show unnaturally straight walls and rounded corners. These are not natural cave formations. And here's where it gets chilling. In the largest chamber, the radar signature revealed something circular and metallic-like, completely out of place for the Neolithic period. Experts haven't confirmed what it is yet. Excavation hasn't begun. But its echo signature on radar resembles dense alloys, possibly meteorite-based materials. If true, it could mean that whoever built this site not only mapped the stars, but also buried something from them. There's precedent. In 2018, a similar hidden chamber was discovered beneath Göbekli Tepe, just 35 kilometers away. There too, researchers found a void matching sacred dimensions, but never opened it due to preservation restrictions. Now, with Karahan Tepe offering a less restricted excavation zone, this may be the first time we get to look beneath one of these ancient observatories. But it gets stranger. Historical researcher Dr. Farooq Darin noted that several myths from the region, passed down through Kurdish and Yazidi oral traditions, speak of the Watchers beneath the ground, ancient beings who stored knowledge in vaults sealed with stone suns. For years, these stories were dismissed as metaphor. But if these underground chambers contain objects, tools, or more carvings, then those myths may be preserving something real, something we were never meant to find. Adding fuel to the fire, satellite imaging around the Karahan Tepe Plateau shows aligned stone markers pointing directly to these underground anomalies, as if the ancient builders were pointing to what's below using what's above. A literal is above, so below map. There's even speculation, still unproven, that the burial of these chambers was intentional, perhaps to hide information during a time of global catastrophe or cultural collapse. Some theorists suggest the chambers might contain early computational tools, celestial records, or even encoded warnings, preserved in forms yet to be deciphered. One of the archaeologists on the site put it bluntly: "If what's down there matches what's up here, then the slab is just the cover page, and the real story is still buried." With a full excavation expected to begin in 2026, the world may soon see what these early astronomers considered so important, or so dangerous, that they sealed it beneath their most sacred stars. The forgotten children of the sky. Did a lost group preserve the knowledge? As researchers piece together the puzzle of Karahan Tepe and its impossible star map, one question looms larger than any artifact. Who were the people capable of all this? The mainstream narrative paints them as early agrarians or hunter-gatherers experimenting with stone tools and seasonal rituals. But a growing number of researchers believe there may have been a separate group, distinct from the general population, a caste of skywatchers, possibly an elite or isolated sect, entrusted with maintaining celestial knowledge. This theory gained traction in 2025, when an anthropological team analyzing skeletal remains from the Karahan Tepe region found anatomical anomalies in several of the individuals buried closest to the star map site. These remains, dated to approximately 11,000 BCE, revealed unusually elongated skulls, not the result of cranial deformation, but potentially genetic. CT scans showed differences in the parietal and occipital bones, as well as larger-than-average eye sockets, possibly adapted for night vision or long-distance stargazing. At first, skeptics pushed back, attributing the findings to normal human variation. But DNA analysis told another story. These individuals carried a rare mitochondrial haplogroup, found today only in scattered populations of the Andaman Islands, parts of the Horn of Africa, and isolated groups in the Caucasus Mountains. This haplogroup, M33b, is nearly absent from modern Turkish populations, suggesting that this group may have been migrants, exiles, or perhaps the last remnants of an earlier, now-vanished lineage. Even more fascinating, teeth isotope analysis showed a consistent plant-based diet high in psychoactive compounds like Syrian rue and wild celery, both known to induce altered states of consciousness and visionary experiences, especially under starlight. Could this group have used natural stimulants to enhance their observations or encode celestial events during trance-like rituals? Dr. Lena Hofstadter, a cognitive archaeologist from the University of Heidelberg, believes this group may have functioned like a prehistoric observatory guild, selected not just for intellect, but for their sensitivity to sky cycles, seasonal shifts, and possibly acoustics, as earlier studies showed sound played a role at the site. They weren't average villagers, she said. They were guardians of memory, living calendars. Intriguingly, early Sumerian and Egyptian texts describe similar specialized groups: priestly astronomers, moon counters, and children of the stars, who were forbidden from farming or bearing arms, and whose only duty was to watch, record, and remember. Even the architecture around Karahan Tepe supports this. A newly unearthed cluster of small stone rooms located behind the main ceremonial platform shows no signs of cooking fires, burial activity, or livestock, but they do contain symbolic carvings of eyes, stars, and spirals, and narrow slots in the stone that align perfectly with key solstice points. It's as if these rooms were used for observation and contemplation, not domestic life. So what happened to these children of the sky? Some theorists propose they were wiped out by a climate catastrophe or absorbed into later civilizations, their knowledge diluted into myth. Others believe they chose to vanish, hiding their secrets underground, or encoding them in structures we still haven't understood. But if they really did exist, then we owe our understanding of the heavens not to random cultural evolution, but to a vanishing brotherhood of stargazers who stood watch while the rest of the world slept. Hit subscribe for more mysteries decoded, and drop your wildest theory in the comments. What do you think they were really watching?